Social conservatives and biblical people with biblical values are the largest voting bloc in America by far. It's not remotely close. So the question next is, well, why don't people with our values win every election, right? This is why, because people are not praying, voting, and engaging. So we exist to see that happen. To people who think your voice doesn't matter, I would say I don't think that's an unreasonable way for you to feel in today's world because there are forces that oppose God that have a vested interest in making you feel that way. And there are definitely maybe parts of the world and maybe even some parts of this country where your voice does have less value than it should, even by our own political systems. Forget the dignity that you've inherited as being made in the image of God. Just by being an American, your voice has a certain level of value, or at least it should. And one of the things we work for at FBA is to make sure we always have free and fair elections. Everybody's vote counts. But I'll just tell a quick story to illustrate how good we do have it in America, which is when I was in Regent University, had a program, and they still have this program called the Center for Global Justice. And it would send young law students out on internships around the world on human rights work that our donors at Regent Law supported. So I was fortunate enough to be selected for one of these. I went to serve an anti-human trafficking legal internship in Jakarta, Indonesia, which was a watershed moment in my life. And while there, I'm of course talking with my fellow interns and some of the ones closer to that part of the world in India. One of my classmates, who is a much better lawyer than me, was serving in that position. And she told me it's very reasonable to complain about how long the system takes. You have to go to court for an action or something just to get justice for what you deserve. It can take forever, right? Take years on end. There's going to be endless appeals. This is where the term lawfare comes from, that we're seeing a lot more in America of them in American politics. But this friend of mine from my law school class, she's serving as an intern in India, and she has a client who is a landowner who's just trying to get a basic recoupment action for an adjoining plot of his land, right? All the facts were in his side. Should have been open and closed. At least it would have been if it were here. This man had actually inherited this action from his father, the previous landlord, because they were on year number 18 of this action.
Oh.
That's how long it was taking in this Indian court system. Now, this is not to rag on India. They're a growing country, and I think this was not a unique case, but the point is that's much more the norm in what we would call the developing world. But the point is, this is the nature of governing in a fallen world, is this stuff doesn't always work the way it should. Now, we have a calling on God to try to make it work better or the way it should, to better affirm everybody's dignity is made in the image of God. But I say that story to say we have it pretty good in America.